Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Broadwater?
Here.
Councilmember Jones?
Here.
Councilmember Wynn? Mayor Pro Tem Rosen?
Here.
Mayor Dalton?
Here. As far as the closed session item, there was no action taken and no reportable action. Okay, we'll have the invocation by Les Jones, Assistant City Manager, and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilwoman Wynn.
Dear Lord, we ask for your presence over these proceedings. May your hand guide the decisions made here this evening for the benefit of all. Amen.
Please place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have some presentations.
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like Les Jones to make our first presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Fattal. Tonight, the Garden Grove City Council is pleased to acknowledge some young leaders in our community. Each year, rising stars within the Boys and Girls Club of Garden Grove receive the prestigious Youth of the Year Award. They are honored with a banquet hosted by the Evening Kiwanis Club of Garden Grove, a long-standing tradition for over 50 years. This year's recipients are Angel Alvarez, Vision Bergonia, Miguel Duran, and Joshua Perez. Will the Youth of the Year recipients please come forward? We begin with Angel Alvarez. Angel is an 8th grade student at the Fitz branch. As a junior leader, Angel encourages and coaches other members. He not only advises the staff by offering feedback and assisting in planning special events, but he unselfishly helps his peers without being asked to do so. These are just a few of the outstanding qualities Angel possesses as Youth of the Year recipient. For the past 2 years, he assisted in a clothing drive that has served over 50 families. From donation to distribution, Angel has been an integral part of this community service project. He sees his mother as his role model because of all of the sacrifices she's made for her family, and it is his hope to be able to give as much as she does. The city congratulates Angel on being a model of determination and character for his peers in and out of the club. Congratulations. The next Youth of the Year recipient is Vision Bergonia. Not only is she the sole female Youth of the Year award winner this year, Vision is also the youngest recipient of this distinguished group. She is a leader who is youthful and energetic enough to withstand the toughest of challenges, yet mature and rational enough to have a sense of direction. This 4th grader at Clinton Kids Club has always been known for her willingness to help others. She easily makes everyone, especially new members, feel welcome. Although she's only 9, she is viewed as a leader of the club because of her infectious positive attitude, her participation in all activities, and her ability to make good choices. Vision is enthusiastic about school and the club. She also highly values her time with her family. Her role model is her mother. In her future, she would like to help kids with special needs. And the city congratulates Vision Bergonia on being an exceptional influence on her club and community members. Our next Youth of the Year this evening is Joshua Perez. As team captain for his volleyball team, Joshua takes on a leadership role. As a member of the Alamitos branch, he exemplifies leadership through his sound judgment and actions, his positive influence on his peers, and his charisma. Joshua is determined to share his club experiences with others by one day joining the staff. As the staff members now inspire him daily to always do his best and to follow his dreams, he hopes that he can do that for someone else in the future. Joshua is filled with ambition. He will make history by becoming the first college graduate in his family. His plan for success includes being an actor and giving back to those who have given him so much, like his parents. The City of Garden Grove congratulates Joshua for his pride and dedication to his club and community. Our final Youth of the Year recipient is Miguel Duran. Miguel is a member of the Boys and Girls Club at Santiago High School, the first Boys and Girls Club in the nation on a high school campus. In 1 year, he has transformed from a shy and quiet teenager to an active and outgoing leader. He consistently volunteers and engages in club activities. His leadership is easily displayed as he takes the initiative to assist his peers, welcome new members, or chair a new project. Miguel is an avid artist and hopes his hobby will evolve into a career as an art teacher. Recently, his art piece was a regional winner in the Boys and Girls Club of America's Fine Arts Competition and can be seen in the Laguna Fine Arts Museum. Each week, he volunteers at St. Callistus by assisting with food and clothing distribution for the needy. His hope is to make a difference in someone's life. Of the 4 recipients here tonight, Miguel has been chosen to represent the Boys and Girls Club of Garden Grove in their next level of competition for the State Youth of the Year. The city applauds Miguel on his service to this club and community and wishes him the best of luck in the state level. Congratulations. In summary, the city congratulates each Youth of the Year on their financial awards from Jay Mastriani of Jay's Catering and Roland Shee of the International Farmers Market. Now at this time, the Mayor and City Council would like to present each of these distinguished individuals with a certificate and memento in recognition of their influential roles in the community and being key activists for Positive Place for Kids. The city proudly recognizes them as today's pace setters and tomorrow's leaders. Congratulations again.
Would you please come forward? I'll give you a certificate and award. And then when you're done, if you'd like to say a few words, feel free to. That one, I think this gentleman, let him get his mouth. You got it? Okay, yeah. Anyone or all of you are welcome to the words.
Well, I just want to thank you, all of you guys, for, I don't know, for this, the present, or I don't know. And for making me, like, the Youth of the Year. That's why I'm here. I don't know. Well, I help others, and I do it because I want to do it. Like, nobody tells me to do it. I want to do it because I really want to help other people and, like, try to make them succeed. But I know I'm just a student right now, but I know if I could, like, talk to people and, like, I'll probably make them change their mind, the way they see the way they see things, like I don't know, like way they see things, but see in a better way, not less. Well, I can't nervous right now because it's a lot of people looking at me. Like, it always happens to me when I do this. And
Don't worry about it. It happens to us, too. Thank you.
I want to thank my parents for everything they did, and I want to thank everybody for making this present for me and for making me a Youth of the Year.
I just want to thank everyone for coming today and really to thank all the staff at Boys and Girls Club. Thank you.
I'd like to thank my mom and my friends. They've always been pushing me. My staff, they've always been like a big help. They're like pretty much my third family because my best friend Danny, he's my second family. And I'd like to thank you guys because I never thought I could actually do something like this. It's like the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. I just want to say thank you, and to everybody that all these through the years, they're also great people. Miguel's a little shy, but we can't all say we don't get shy every once in a while. But I just wish to thank you all.
Thank you. You know, I think that we should give them one more round of applause because this is the youth today, but the leaders of tomorrow, and I think we're all going to be in good hands. Okay, is there another presentation?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Vin Du from the United Vietnamese Student Association would like to come forward and present something to the City Council.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished members of the council. My name is Vu Din, the Internal Vice President of UVSA.
And my name is Kan Kyu, the Secretary of UVSA.
We just want to first of all thank the staff for allowing us to speak during the presentation portion. On behalf of all of the member schools of UVSA, all of the student leaders, volunteers, and collaborative organizations that work with UVSA, we just want to say a big thank you to the City of Garden Grove, particularly to the City Council and all of the staff and employees that we work with in putting on the Tet Festival. As you know, the Vietnamese Lunar New Year Tet Festival is one of the biggest events that the Little Saigon community puts on, and it's a great honor to host it within the wonderful city of Garden Grove, in particular the Garden Grove Park. And we just want to say that it's been we've had a great working relationship with the City of Garden Grove, and it's a relationship that we would love to continue for years and years. And we just have a small token of that appreciation that we would like to present to you today. If I would just read it out.
Yes.
Certificate of Appreciation presented to the City of Garden Grove in appreciation of your continuous support of the annual Tet Festival held at Garden Grove Park, hosted by UVSA in celebration of the Vietnamese Lunar New Year. Thank you for all of your support. Presented on March 11th, 2008.
Thank you. Is there another presentation?
Mr. Mayor. Keith Jones would like to present the Garden Grove Santa Ana Go Local partnership that has been moving forward, and Keith's here to make that presentation for you.
Thank you, Mr. Fertel, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight we have a short PowerPoint followed by a video presentation that provides an overview of the Santa Ana and Garden Grove Go Local project concept developed as part of OCTA's Go Local program. Santa Ana and Garden Grove have formed a partnership and developed a visionary multimodal project concept to improve access to Metrolink, expand the local and regional transportation network, promote transit ridership by marrying transit facilities and services to land use and development. The vision and concept extends between two gateways to central Orange County. The Eastern Gateway will transform the Santa Ana Regional Transportation Center, known as SARTIC, into an intermodal transportation hub for access into the heart of Santa Ana. And on the west, the convergence of the SR-22 and the PE right-of-way will open opportunities to link Garden Grove and other parts of the region to Metrolink. This 5-mile east-west multimodal corridor will string together key population, employment, and activity centers and regional transportation connections, including Santa Ana's Renaissance Specific Plan, downtown Santa Ana, Bristol Street Bus Rapid Transit to John Wayne Airport, South Coast Metro and Santa Ana College, development opportunities on the PE right-of-way, and tying into the Harbor Boulevard Bus Rapid Transit, providing links to Disneyland and, more importantly, International West as that goes forward. The Santa Ana Garden Grove project concept is made up of 3 components. The first is a modern streetcar fixed guideway that would operate between the SARTIC and the SR-22. The second is an expansion of the existing SARTIC and into a intermodal transportation hub. And the third is a multimodal use of the PE right-of-way. The modern streetcar would operate on a fixed rail from the Metrolink at the SARTIC through the downtown Santa Ana and the Civic Center along the PE right-of-way to the SR-22 in Garden Grove. It would extend Metrolink into central Orange County along a 5-mile corridor. It would connect directly to Santa Ana's Civic Center. And what makes the streetcar so attractive is that it would be built entirely within the existing public right-of-way. Between the Santa Ana train station and Bristol Street, the streetcar would operate in the public streets, sharing lanes with autos. These streets are 100% under the control of the city of Santa Ana, and west of Bristol Street, the streetcar would operate on the PE right-of-way, which is owned by OCTA. The availability of public right-of-way and the ability to avoid the need to acquire private property for this project make it relatively quick and easy to implement. From the west, the streetcar would link Garden Grove to Metrolink and connect with OCTA's planned Harbor Boulevard and Bristol Street Bus Rapid Transit. Finally, as demonstrated in other cities that have recently implemented modern streetcars, a project like this is a catalyst for economic development. The proposed expansion of the Santa Ana Regional Transportation Corridor would include all improvements needed to accommodate projected increases in Metrolink ridership. I'm going to skip a little through number 6 here of interest of speed, and it talks more about what's going to happen in Santa Ana. I want to speak more specifically to what's happening on the PE right-of-way. The PE right-of-way would maximize the available right-of-way and expand the multimodal transportation network by including the modern streetcar, access for bus rapid transit to the central Santa Ana and the Santa Ana Regional Transportation Corridor, autos, bikes, and pedestrians. It would also improve the aesthetics of the existing corridor. Multimodal use of the PE right-of-way would also enhance at the western end of the corridor an interchange with the SR-22 and would provide alternatives to and relieve congestion at the Orange Crush interchange. The SR-22 PE right-of-way interchange would open access to central Santa Ana for Garden Grove and the region. Now, why it works. There are a number of reasons why Santa Ana and Garden Grove are convinced their Go Local project concept will promote Metrolink ridership and enhance the transportation network. First, there is a growing rail ridership at the Santa Ana Regional Transportation Corridor. Today, there are over 500,000 people a year getting on and off Metrolink at the Amtrak at the Santa Ana Regional Transportation Center. When Metrolink service increases to every 30 minutes, ridership is projected to grow to almost 1 million annual ons and offs at this location. Santa Ana has the highest transit ridership in Orange County with over 21 million boardings a year, which is a third of all bus boardings in Orange County, making it a strong market for transit investment. Santa Ana and Garden Grove also have high population densities. Santa Ana has the highest population density in the county at 12,500 people per square mile, also making it the 8th densest city in the country. Garden Grove's population density is over 9,000 people per square mile. Put these two cities and densities in context. Orange County as a whole has a population density of just 3,600 people per square mile, and the city of Los Angeles has a population density of 7,800 people per square mile. High population densities support high transit ridership. There's also a strong travel demand from South Orange County into central Santa Ana, which parallels the Orange County Line Metrolink. This project concept links together key activity centers. It provides both local and regional connectors that improve access and capacity. And there are a number of transit supportive land uses and land use plans and policies along the project area. To conclude, the Santa Ana and Garden Grove Go Local project concept extends the reach of Metrolink into central Orange County, promotes Metrolink and transit system ridership, builds on the existing Santa Ana Regional Transportation Center as an intermodal transportation hub, links key activity and employment centers to commuter rail, offers a creative and cost-effective use of existing public right-of-way, and supports planned transit-oriented development. I'd like to go ahead and show our short project concept video. completes our presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might
Any
have.
questions for staff?
Just if I can say a little about this. This is the first stage. This is the OCTA Go Local program. Each city was allotted $100,000 to do initial studies, and cities could team up. So we teamed up with Santa Ana. So that's $200,000 that's going toward basically a consultant to explore this concept. Now, the OCTA Board of Directors at its meeting yesterday approved our contract. We just need to sign it. I guess we need to approve it if we haven't done so already. But anyway, that's in the works. Mayor Dalton and I saw a presentation on this, I guess, almost 2 weeks ago. We asked them to change the music. They haven't. But other than that, it's a good presentation and I think a good project, and really ties downtown Santa Ana up to Harbor Boulevard, where our hotel emphasis has been.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Okay, at this time I'll open oral communications for the agency and council. And for any people that haven't been here before, we allow 5 minutes. At the end of 5 minutes, the red light goes on and your time is up. Okay, Ronald Granados.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Dalton, City Council people. I'm here because I guess all of you are aware of the secret meeting that was held this last time relative to our Las Americas, our Aquatica, and Amazonia projects. You know, it's really, the only word I can use is appalling to me that TL Properties comes in here in 1 month and is before the City Council, and we've been here 3 years. The last 15 months, we've been delayed and delayed and delayed, spent millions of dollars in developing this project, and get presented a project to you that nobody knows anything about, because the last time Matthew Fertal and Chet and Greg looked at this project was over 18 months ago. Mayor Dalton didn't see this project until 2 years ago. We were deprived of presenting to Councilman Steve Jones and Councilman, I'm sorry, I have a hard time pronouncing, but I'm going to say Nguyen. And we were deprived of that because Matthew Fertal and Chet both decided, and this was the deal, you don't speak to Councilman Steve Jones and Dina Nguyen regarding this project. You give up your right to the 40 acres on Harbor Boulevard that we had already negotiated with the owner to develop a City Walk type project with a 1,500-room hotel. And you just move right on and be happy that we're selling you the Willowick golf course. That's what happened at that time. Even though I didn't like it, I went along with it. There's a reason why I go along with a lot of the things the city demands of me. This is not a project where I'm going to enrich myself from developing. This is a project that goes to Latino education and training. There's already been an endowment created for students to go to USC. That means that every year, Latino students from the city of Garden Grove, 50 of them, and 50 from the city of Santa Ana go to the USC on full scholarships. That is what this project is all about, and 50% of all the monies that come from this project go to them. This is a project that means $80 million for the city of Garden Grove, Mr. Fertal. $80 million. And I don't know where the city and the comments they made in the newspaper, where they possibly could have gotten unless they did not read the feasibility report. Your feasibility report. We had done feasibility studies. We had informed the city what the results were, and they kept insisting and insisting for 18 months that we turn over those studies to them, and we were going to do that because they contain a lot of proprietary information within those studies. We offered to bring them feasibility experts to know why, you know, you were going to make so much money and from what sources, and no. Then they wanted to bring in a company called Lido. Lido knows nothing of doing feasibility studies and just recently admitted that to members of the press, that they don't know anything about feasibility studies. So finally, they listened to us and went to Economic Consulting Services. Economic Consulting Service did a fabulous study for you, which you paid for. And the studies came back with raving reviews. Mr. Fertal and Chet had that feasibility report sent, a bankable feasibility report sent back to Economic Consulting Services to tone it down because they, in their professional opinion, did not believe those numbers that were in that report. The particular person who did these studies refused to do so, toned it down somewhat, cut down the cap a little bit for them just to shut them up and to get paid. That's the reason for it. This is a great project, and as I just looked at the presentation that you had relative to this project, why, that's right at the front door of Willowick. It's going to be a fantastic project to just drop everybody off there at these two projects. These are the greatest projects to come to this area in the theme park business in over 50 years. Walt Disney would not have had, Disneyland would not have had the year that they had last year had not been for the 50th anniversary. And they will continue to turn down, and you can ask any of the feasibility people, you don't have to take my word for it, they will continue to be lower in attendance unless they're given a little boost. That boost is those three parks. There were also some comments by city council people that indicated that there was no hotel, the tourists weren't going to come or anything else. Your own website promotes how many tourists go to Disneyland in the whole area. The feasibility study not only confirmed it, what our numbers were, but exceeded those numbers. And for somebody to make comments like that was just, you know, I just couldn't believe they were saying things like that. There were other things that said, well, you know, visitors aren't going. Excuse me? Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Feasibility. Let me just finish the sentence.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Wrap it up quick,
The feasibility studies are very clear. This is a very successful project, and I filed a claim yesterday with the city for $1.5 billion. And I'm going to tell you something. Just one more thing. Just one more thing. I think in light of the circumstances,
well, there's other people that are waiting too that have issues.
Okay. Well, I'll let Mr. Miziker finish off. By the way, Mr. Miziker is one of the superstars of the theme park business.
Thank you. Ron Miziker.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ron Miziker, and I serve as president of Granados Partners. I do have over 35 years of experience in the theme park industry, working with major clients all over the world, not only in California. This experience was recognized about 3 years ago when I was called by one of the people working on the International West project, and he said, Ron, why don't you come over? We'd like to show you what we're trying to accomplish, and maybe you have some ideas. So I did. I met with the group. We talked about what the goals were of International West, and it was kind of interesting because as I sat there, I recalled a project that I had just heard about not long ago, and that was the project that Ron Granados had called Las Americas. I had actually seen one of his presentations on that project. And so after that, I went and I met with Ron Granados, and I said, I think that this is something that's really appropriate for your project, and I think we should go back and talk about it. So we did. We came back, we met with the people here again, and we presented the concept. The reason I felt, with my experience, that the concept was so good is because we were not going head-on with the mouse. Instead, we were complementing what is there, and we were providing a different kind of an experience that could be marketed in a totally different direction as well. I think everybody at that point, at least the people that I was talking to here at Garden Grove, agreed that that was an interesting concept. And we started working on that concept and starting to develop it. At that time, we had 3 projects. We had Las Americas, which was like an International World's Fair kind of an attraction, Amazonia, and Aquatica, the water park. Amazonia is an attraction like SeaWorld, only created with elements from the Amazon itself. We spent a lot of time working and developing this project. We finally met with Matt, who and in our meeting, we came to an agreement that there wasn't enough property at Willowick for all 3 projects. But we should consider 2 of those projects, Amazonia and Aquatica, the water park. Remember, this is not a water park like the one at Knott's, where you've got a lot of hard iron and steel and slides and all that sort of thing. This is really a resort kind of water park that has lots of vegetation and lagoons and waterfalls, and I mean it's an experience. It's like being on a tropical island in the middle of Ecuador or something. I mean it's an attraction in itself to be part of it. So this is a different kind of an attraction. And then we also decided on Amazonia. Amazonia is the closest thing I can relate our concept to is SeaWorld, because it involves a lot of different elements, both inside and outside. Elements, as you know, the Amazon is the land of extremes. It's the biggest and the most and the meanest and the largest. I mean, fish that eat people and catfish that eat people, not sharks. Bats, all kinds of wonderful and strange creatures. And to be able to have that kind of experience here certainly is a tourist draw. Certainly it is a draw for the local residents as well. Combine that with the water park and makes a very nice package. It fits very nicely on that piece of land. My purpose here tonight is to say, I believe you made a mistake by rejecting this project. This is a wonderful project. I'm telling you, with my experience and what I've known about this area, this is the project that your city needs to do.
Thank you. Robin Macario.
Good evening, council, staff, and Garden Grove residents. I'm Robin Marcario. I just wanted to touch on, it was nice to see the Go Local program, and I think it's a wonderful thing that OCTA has put together with the $100,000 that are being granted to the various cities to work in coordination with the other cities. The only thing that I would like to encourage is that the study does in fact perhaps go to from the Santa Ana Civic Center area to our Civic Center area, i.e. to the Euclid, Main Street sort of area. So to extend that just slightly makes more sense to me in both, incorporating major city area to major city area. That would be my comments with regards to that. The second thing, the AARP is putting together a fireworks initiative, and we're probably going to hear about that later on, which would, if there's enough signatures gathered, would in fact give the public the opportunity to decide whether in fact we want to continue to have fireworks in our city or not. So if they do put it together and you're presented with the initiative, please do sign it so that it can in fact be put on the ballot so that the voters can actually decide instead of just our city council sitting on their hands. Okay, the next thing, this Saturday on March 15th, the Public Works Department is putting together their Garden Grove disposal where you can obtain the yard waste recycling program, and that is from 9 o'clock in the morning till 11:30. You need to bring your own containers and buckets. Don't bring any paper bags because that's not sufficient. You'll certainly need to get there early because we do run out on an annual basis. And so come early, and when it's gone, it's over. And the last thing that I'd like to comment on is the Agency for Community Development, item 6A. It's the exclusive negotiating agreement with JPI California Development Services for the development of the 13.9 acres of real estate property within the area known as the Brookhurst Triangle. We only have one proposal here. This doesn't seem to me as though we're working within our community vision program, which is to, 1, include the public, 2, to have a competitive bid process, and 3, to create some parks. So I would like to kind of know what the criteria is for that particular development, why we're not seeing more than one particular proposal being presented. We also need to know that, 1, this is a viable company because the development market is definitely changed in the last year or two. I definitely would encourage that a park is included in this. If you're considering putting in higher densities, you need to put in parks. It doesn't make sense to put in towers without parks. You must put a park at the Brookhurst Triangle for it to make any sense at all. And with regards to whatever development and whatever agreement and plans that they do put together, I think that the Korean Business District, business area, as well as the Korean Festival Committee and the Central Garden Grove Neighborhood Association should be included in those plans, because we all have something to contribute, because it's right in the heart of our community, and we'd like to contribute to whatever does eventually come from our Brookhurst Triangle. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Russ McDonald.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff. I've got a notice of intent to circulate a petition. Notice is hereby given by the person whose name appears hereon of the intention to circulate a petition within the City of Garden Grove, State of California, a statement of the reasons of the proposed action as contemplated in the petition as follows. During each of the past 2 years, the use of fireworks in the City of Garden Grove, California has caused the destruction of residents by fire. Residents have been emotionally distressed by the fear and distress exhibited by their pets due to the noise caused by legal and illegal fireworks. Last, of greatest concern to our citizens are the serious injuries that have been caused to children burned or injured by legal and illegal fireworks before, during, and after the 4th of July holiday. All the previous discussed perils associated with fireworks have caused the City of Garden Grove to expend large amounts of money for the increased staffing of municipal public safety departments during the days surrounding the 4th of July holiday. It is unnecessary to subject the people of Garden Grove to the cost, perils, and distress caused by fireworks when public displays, safely managed by professionals, are available at local resorts and municipally sponsored venues. Therefore, it is within the power of the people of the City of Garden Grove, State of California, to ordain to prohibit the sale, use, or discharge of fireworks, including those classified as safe and sane by the California Fire Marshal and California Health and Safety Code Section 12529. The proposed measure would require the prohibited sale of, use, or discharge of fireworks, including the classified safe and sane by the California Health and Safety Code 12529 in the City of Garden Grove. The notice of intent to circulate the petition is provided by a group of citizens and currently represented by myself, Russell McDonald. The persons whose name and address appears below hereby files a copy of the proposed measure of the Garden Grove City Clerk and requests that a ballot title and summary be prepared. The proposed measure reads as follows. The people of the City of Garden Grove, State of California, do ordain as follows. The people of the City of Garden Grove, California, are greatly concerned by the destruction of property and personal injuries experienced by its residents caused by legal and illegal fireworks. During each of the past 2 years, the use of fireworks in the City of Garden Grove, California, has caused the destruction of residents by fire. Potential scarring of life-threatening injuries have caused to children and adults burned or injured by legal and illegal fireworks before, during, and after the 4th of July. Residents have been emotionally distressed by the fear exhibited by their pets caused by legal and illegal fireworks. All the previously discussed perils associated with the fireworks have caused the City of Garden Grove to expend large amounts of money for increased staffing of municipal public safety departments during the days surrounding the 4th of July. Whereas the State of California, pursuant to California Health and Safety Code 12541, disclaims preemption in the area of sales, use of discharge of fireworks by municipal ordinance. Therefore, it is within the power of the people of the City of Garden Grove, State of California, to ordain the prohibition of sales, use of discharge fireworks, including classified safe and sane, by the California's Health and Safety Code 12529. The measure ordains the prohibits of sales, use, or discharge of fireworks, including those classified safe and sane by the California Health and Safety Code. If any points that, please. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
But shall remain in full force in effect to the end of the provisions of the major. This major is provided by a group of citizens of Garden Grove and is currently represented by myself, Russell McConnell. And thank you very much.
Thank you. David Ville.
Mayor and City Council, my name is David Ville. I'm the president of the Garden Grove chapter of AARP. I do want to make one correction. Ron McCurry was said something about AARP. AARP is not putting out this initiative. This initiative is being brought up by certain members, but also it is being brought up by citizens of Garden Grove. AARP has not been brought up to our board. Our board has not voted on this. So, but our board does sympathize, and our board does go along with this initiative. However, I think that all of this could easily be avoided if the City Council would have some kind of a task force or have some kind of a community forum where everyone could get up there and talk and give the pros and cons on both sides and come up with something which might make sense, because a lot of our members are hurting. And again, we have the elderly, and I would like to make 4 points. All of you up there are elected officials, and you are elected to serve, not to be served. And the same thing with our members in our chapter. We are elected members on our board, and I'm an elected member. And we have on the back of our cards, and I passed these out the last time, it says on here, to serve, not to be served. And I think that that's something that the City Council should also be doing, and that is you're serving the people, and you have to listen to what the people have to say. And I think that you should have some kind of a community hearing and maybe settle all this so that it doesn't have to be brought up to an election, and to where the people have to rebel in order to get to be heard. But I do want to make with this point, I think that we also should have a little bit of compassion. And I think that sometimes we lack a little bit of compassion because maybe we don't see it and we don't hear it. And the thing is this, I'm in a position where I've been seeing it and I've been hearing it. And this is why, like I said before, I know this, for most of you live, I know where I live, and I know that I don't have any problem with fireworks. I know that you don't have any problem with fireworks, but there are people that have this serious problems with these fireworks. And this is the reason that all of this is being brought up. And the thing is this should not be something that is this difficult to understand. If we could, I think that understanding is something that we have to try to do with each other. We have to try to talk to each other. And unless we have dialogue and unless we have some understanding, then we will never understand. It's as simple as that. The quality of life, I've talked to this before, I've been fortunate, and most of you over there have been fortunate, that the quality of life is the most important thing. And this is why a lot of the speeches that we give, and we have people who come and talk to our group, they talk about how to take care of your health. Because without your health, let's face it, nothing else is really that important. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil Becerra.
Good evening, members of the council, city staff, ladies and gentlemen. As a member of the OCTA Citizens Advisory Committee, I wanted to speak to you about including the portion of the Pacific Electric right-of-way from the 22 and New Hope up to downtown Garden Grove. I think the application is missing a serious component. I think this is a very competitive process. All the cities throughout Orange County are looking for money to do their studies and to do their projects in regards to trying to link their cities and their destinations to the Metrolink right-of-way, or to the Metrolink line, excuse me. I applaud Garden Grove in teaming up with Santa Ana. I think that it's a marvelous idea. I think it makes a lot of sense to reuse that old right-of-way. Garden Grove owes its existence to what happened on that right-of-way up until 1950, where we had the big red cars coming down through there from LA down into downtown Santa Ana. So this project makes a lot of sense up until the part where it kind of dies up at the 22 and New Hope. In Los Angeles, they built the Green Line that went down to El Segundo back in the early 90s. Well, if you look at the ridership today, people call it the rail to nowhere. And I would just hate to see in 10 or 20 years where people go, God, what was Garden Grove City Council thinking? They built a rail to nowhere. Or they built a project that didn't go anywhere. And all it takes right now is to have a little bit of vision to say, hey, let's look at the area just north of there. This is not saying build it. This is just saying let's be open-minded. Let's keep our options open. There have been many times in the past where Garden Grove has unfortunately passed up on some very good opportunities, and I just hope that Garden Grove doesn't do that now. And from what I understood of staff saying that the application had already gone to OCTA for consideration, I'm hoping that civic leaders and you, the City Council, will push for the inclusion of the area up to downtown Garden Grove. I think you owe it to your own city just to provide this sort of infrastructure that can improve the quality of life. You guys have already got a great idea. You've hit the home run. Don't stop at third base. You look ridiculous stopping at third base. Round the bag, get to home plate. Put the study into downtown Garden Grove. I think you'll see a lot of success through that. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Owens.
You're going to kick out of this, Bruce. When Al Snook was running for mayor, he had a big bus, okay? And he had a loudspeaker in the back. He says, I want you to man the loudspeaker, okay? I said, okay. So he picked us up. Real fancy bus. We hit every street in Garden Grove.
Did you really need a loudspeaker?
Huh?
Did you really need a loudspeaker?
Yeah, I went through 3 houses, okay? So we was coming around, down around Knott. We was coming in the back way, and I was talking about why you should vote for Al Snook. We're going up the street. This guy comes out in his pajamas and his slippers, and we're about 2 blocks up, and he looks at that bus, and he takes off running after us, right? And Al looks back and he says, Jesus, that guy loves me. He said he's coming after the bus. And I don't know about that. I told the bus driver, I said, speed the bus up a little bit. So anyway, we woke the guy up. The guy come about that far off the mattress. We was going through about 3 houses. My job was to butcher you up, okay? That was my job.
How did that work?
Huh?
How did that go?
Pretty good. I did a pretty good job on you. Now, I'll tell you what irritates me with you guys, okay? That when we're at oral communication and we sit down and you guys start taking pot shots at us, all right? If you got a question of what we say, and don't misconstrue it. If you got something to say, let us answer it back. Don't let us sit in the audience, you shut us down, and then you talk like a bunch of turkeys, misconstruing what we say. I don't like that, like bad food. I want to puke it up. Now, what about these developers? How come some move easy in Garden Grove and around Garden Grove, and some don't move at all? Huh? How come? All I can tell you is this. There's been heavy donations. I know you boys are on the take. You're not on the take. I know that. Hope you ain't. There's heavy donations before a project, and there's heavy donations after. What do they talk about? Bulldozing your house. I'm not talking about that, boys. I don't know too much of the plan. See? 1,000 acres. 1,000 houses. Matty Fertel's always like that. See? You're all right, Matty. Even though the mayor backs you up all the time over a citizen, I don't like that. Hey, average Joe citizen go in and have an argument with Matty Fertel, and the mayor's going to back him up. That ain't what I remember what he was. When I first met Bill Dalton, he kind of guy I figured he could back me up. But I ain't got much. Huh? Well, they did some dirty tricks on him with your family. I was here for you. I said it was dirty. I said it was dirty politics. Will you change? Huh? You back this guy up all the time. And you guys shouldn't be the redevelopment committee. You're working in conflict. You should have a redevelopment committee separate from you. That's public money. It ain't your money. It's public money. It's raised on the tax of the value. I know what it is. And you guys shoot that money through, and we come up here, and you stick a foot in our throat. We ask about it. You give the developers professional treatment in City Hall. Went up one time, asked a cup of coffee. Secretary, what are you talking about? Go down to Starbucks. I'm sitting in there for your time, Maddie, and I had 5 fat contractors in that office having coffee, and rolls, everything else, provincial treatment. And now, Maddie can't do no more bulldozing here. It's all built up. But I want to put him in a rack. There's a big job there. Maddie, this is where it is. You're ready for it. Huh? Maddie's ready for that job. Little Garden Grove ain't nothing. It's a pump city. Can't build no more. I want to put Maddie in a rack to rebuild a rack. Then we ain't got to worry about it bulldozing over houses. Huh?
Thank you, Bob. Janine Fowler.
Hard to follow that one. Okay. Hello, Mayor, Council, staff. My name's Janine Fowler. I was reading the item that's on the development for the Brookhurst Triangle, and I read the memo from Chet to Math Fertal on the developer JPI. In the letter, it says that there were 7 proposals that were provided from different companies, and JPI is being the one that is being seriously considered. Where are the other 6? I'd like to know who they were. What did they have proposed? I think as a community we need to know what is being presented. I know I live in that area, and I'd like to know what's going to be going there. Based on what was provided, JPI is an excellent company. They specialize in property management, and it looks from the proposal that was sort of provided that they're proposing part rental, part purchase, and part business. And probably in today's market with condominiums, that's probably a great concept, considering most condominiums are not selling. We're seeing several of them turned into rental properties, and even the rental properties are having a very difficult time renting. So I think this high-rise, high-density project needs to very seriously be looked at whether or not it is going to be a right fit for that area. In today's marketing, we're seeing the Anaheim stadiums. They haven't even sold half of their condominiums in the 4 years since they went on the market. You've got even our own Chapman Commons, which are not selling very well. You've got other condominiums over in Anaheim. We've got huge density projects that are going on, and I think we really need to look at it. And that is also why, I mean, like I said, JPI is an excellent company. I did all the research on the internet for them. They're sound, they're financially set, but I do want to be included in this process. And the Brookhurst Triangle is only about maybe a half a mile from my home. There is huge traffic issues over in that area as we speak right now. I can't imagine 500 units going in there with 1,000 cars. So I think there needs to be a bigger picture looked at as far as infrastructure. I know we've already got the sewers taken care of over there, so they're in good shape for that. But I would like to hopefully have more input from the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Tanahara.
Good evening. My name's Sharon Tanihara, and I live in Garden Grove. I've been coming to the council for 5 years now, hoping for some help from the city. My sister and I live in a neighborhood where neighbors shoot these off all night long. I don't know what they're called, but they are what started the fire on Mack Street last year, so my concern is legitimate. Last September, I went to the city clerk's office and asked for the fireworks file. It is a file about 6 inches tall that contains everything that has come before the council on the topic of fireworks over the years. Minutes, memos, and reports, and even letters from the general public. In the file, there is a copy of a ballot measure and all the wording for an ordinance to ban fireworks, written up by the city's attorney's office. This document was presented to the City Council on July 11, 2006, because Councilman Krebs wanted to give the citizens of Garden Grove the opportunity to decide this controversial issue. The ballot measure asks a simple question: shall an ordinance banning the sale, purchase, possession, and use of fireworks in the city of Garden Grove be adopted? Amazingly, even though 2 houses had caught fire and sustained $160,000 in damages a week earlier, no one on the council at that time supported Mr. Krebs' motion to put the measure on the November 2006 ballot. So this document, all written up and ready to go, sits in the fireworks file. That was 2006. On July 4th, 2007, in spite of the new $1,000 fine against illegal fireworks, a home on Mack Street caught fire and sustained $100,000 in damages. The deputy fire chief sat right over there and reported to the city council that it was most likely one of these that started the fire because they were found all over the roof and yard. At a council meeting last October, Mr. Broadwater stepped up to the plate and made a motion to put the measure to ban fireworks to a vote of the people. Since the measure is all written up and ready to go, that would have been real easy to do. Unfortunately, the only council member to support his motion was Dina Nguyen, so once again this document just sits in the file. On January 7th of this year, Mr. Dwayne Noonan, known to his friends as Duke, passed away after a 2-year battle against cancer. Mr. Noonan had lived in Garden Grove for over 50 years and was concerned about the increasing dangers on the 4th of July. He became an active member of the Committee to Ban Fireworks and had spoken before this very council several times. He also participated in the rally to ban fireworks before the council meeting last October. He had even obtained permission from his church to collect signatures on church premises once the petition drive to ban fireworks gets underway. All this while undergoing chemotherapy. In closing, I'd like to say that it is shameful that during the last year and a half, Mr. Noonan had to spend his precious time working to protect his family and property, while all that time this document with the wording to put the issue on the ballot sits in the fireworks file in the city clerk's office. The last time around, in October, all it needed was one more yes vote from one more council member to let the citizens decide. Instead, we got the same old excuse: let's wait until after the next 4th of July to see what happens. Well, the next 4th of July is a 3-day weekend. I'm here to express my opinion that the 3 council members who are not willing to let the people have a say, but instead are making this issue drag on and on, should be ashamed of themselves. Putting the issue on the ballot would certainly have given Duke the hope that his family and property would be safe in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. David Terry Lotherborn.
Good evening. I'm David Terry Lotherborn, as most of you all know, and I'm here to talk about our development. And we have this new hotel that's going to be built over across the street from me, and they're going to be putting it right adjacent to the other hotel, and that makes a total of 7 hotels, counting a new one that's already in process. With the lack of parking facilities is running over onto Hampton Avenue, the street I live on. I mean, this is serious. It's a big runoff, and when we have any kind of a holiday weekend, it's especially filled. Or if they're having any kind of an auction or things like that, they're all over my street, and we can't, we either need private parking or neighborhood parking only or something like that. The second thing I'd like to bring up is we have wastewater going down gutters off of Browell, the three streets that I'm adjacent to. Boy, I tell you. Anyway, this is water runoff from the hotels.
Ferraro and Twin Tree?
No, not Twin Tree.
Hampton, one of them?
Well, it comes down Hampton and it goes down Downing and the other street. There's three streets there. And the water runs off from the hotels. They come down that one drain that's off of Downing Street, and it winds and goes all the way up to that street and all the way down Twin Tree and over to back to Browell, and it's wastewater runoff from either the berms that they're watering or the pools that they're draining, and it's almost 24/7 that we have this runoff. And I was wondering, is there something we can do about that before this and there is chemical in it because it changes the color of the concrete in the gutters. Boy, I tell you, tonight my brain ain't working too good. That shows you when you get to 70, right, Bruce?
I am not 70.
Yeah. Oh, yet. Okay. But we have a problem there, and it's almost a steady stream of water all the time. And I'm rather concerned because it might have some chemicals in it and might hurt some animals that we have running around. So I would appreciate if somebody would look at it and see if something could be done, And that's it. The hotels, they're full. They're packing them in, and which is good. But you better give them more parking. Build some parking structures or something. I don't want them over on my street.
How about your driveway?
Yeah, well, I could get $25 a car. I could try that. No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl Armstrong.
Hello, everybody. I'm Cheryl Armstrong. I'm the treasurer of the Central Garden Grove Neighborhood Association, and we're a bit disturbed over what we're hearing about the Brookhurst Triangle and some sort of rigged bidding process that appears to be going on. I don't know the facts, of course, and as an association, we will find out what we can do. We will educate ourselves on what it might take to allow other interested parties to participate and show us what they want to build there as well. Anyway, it's been a few years. We've done this before, and we could all use the walking. And, we'll be working with the AARP on I personally will help Russ with his gathering of signatures for the fireworks. So anyway, I'm disappointed that this is happening this way. And also, we hope to be involved in the density there. I love mixed use. I love the idea. I really do. If there are other ideas out there, I sure wish we could have the opportunity to see them all. I think mixed use is a great thing. And getting some commercial, some restaurants, anything like that would be great. I'm not against development there, but I just think that the process should be fair. Thanks a lot. Good night.
Thank you. I'm going to close oral communications. I do want to make a comment. With regard to the comments of Mr. Granados, the City Council met in closed session on February 26th, as authorized by the Brown Act, to discuss potential price and terms for sale of the Willowwick Golf Course to Mr. Granados. The City Council decided not to go forward with the property sale and directed staff to proceed accordingly. As far as the claims of Mr. Granados of wrongful conduct by the city and city staff, it is my belief that those claims are absolutely without merit. Okay, I'll recess the City Council. We'll go to agency.
Like a roll call for the agency.
Member Dalton?
Here.
Member Jones?
Here.
Member Rosen?
Here.
Vice Chair Wynn?
Here.
Chair Broadwater?
Here. We've got consent items. We'll go to consent items number 4A, minutes of the regular meeting. Entertain a motion.
Move approval.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
What type of a presentation do you have for us tonight? Are you going to go over all the different companies that bid on this? And
No, this is just a request for a negotiation agreement with JPI. Just the developer that the agency selected as the preferred development.
you know, I would really like to hold this off for a couple of weeks and develop something that shows what we really did. I mean, everybody's thinking we're hiding in big secrets and stuff like that. I'd like to show what the different offers were, the amount of monies for the property, that type of thing. Similarly, what you did with the casino. You showed the 5 different programs that we're bidding on it and that type of thing. I know, and then bring, if it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
Why don't we bring that back? We're hearing people saying they want to hear about it. You know, they want to participate in it. I don't know about the participation. Maybe they ought to run for council. But whatever it is, I would like to give them more information on it. What we looked at, some of the stuff that we really looked at was bad and good and all that, and really show it up.
Okay. We'll bring it back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree with that, too. I think that there's a lot more work than people realize sometimes because they see what tends to be what you've weeded out, you know, and gone to, or the final product, so to speak, and without not knowing what we have done and the pros and cons of the other projects and why they were not chosen.
Yeah, I want to take exception to a comment that Mr. Broadwater just made. People ought to have the opportunity to comment on
Well, I didn't
all
quite
of.
mean it that way.
Pardon?
It came out different than I really meant it.
People ought to have an opportunity to comment without having to run for council. They ought to be able to see all of the ideas prior to us considering them at a time when they have an opportunity to comment, either at public comments. This is not a public hearing, so there's no opportunity to comment when the item actually comes up. And there's got to be some way to display all of the proposals, either at City Hall or at Central Garden Grove Association meeting, but some way where people who are interested can see all of the proposals. And I have one other question on the merits. I believe Mrs. Fowler made reference to the memo that Chet sent to Matt, and there is a reference in there to possibly utilizing the agency's housing set-aside funds to maximize the proceeds, and I would like more detail on that. I cannot understand why we would put any more public money into this for private contractors to develop this, so I'd like that fleshed out a little.
I agree with Mr. Rosen, and also I would like maybe if you could come up with some comprehensive explanation like you did for myself when I asked why we have certain things in closed sessions. Just a little comprehensive short summary. The one you did for me orally was pretty explanatory and reasonable and clear enough, you know, for people to understand. I think that should be also part of the when you come back, you could have that for the public.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just a little like a historical timeline or something, how we got here since the last developer fell out. Might be good. Just kind of show the steps of how we got up to this point.
Yeah, I think that's all part of a presentation we already have. So.
Timeline would go back 4 years. So.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, we have any matters from agency members? Mr. Jones, is Mr. Jones sitting over there? Mr. Jones, why don't you come over here and sit for just a minute? I'd like to talk to you about one matter.
Careful, there's 3 of us.
I know, it's all Welshmen, probably. When I was a young man, I got out of the Army, and I had a friend that was in the Army with me. He lived in Gilroy, California. And he called me up and he says, "Bruce, why don't you come up to Gilroy and spend a couple of days up here with me. So I did. I went to Gilroy, California. Now that's, in those days it was a farm town. Today it's a suburb of San Jose, but I went up there, and that night when I got there, he says, "Hey, Bruce, I got this friend, and his wife has been given a huge piano, and he says, we need to help him move it tomorrow." He says, "It's on the 3rd floor of a building." Man, I did not look forward to moving a piano down 3 flights of stairs. You know, he had a piano dolly, and so we went up there. The 3 of us the next morning went up there, and it took us about 5 minutes to move it from the 3rd floor to the back of this guy's pickup truck. And so we were taking it over to the other home, all 3 of us sitting in the pickup truck, talking about how we ought to go in the piano moving business, how good we were, you know, patting each other on the back and everything else. And we turned a corner pretty wide, and the piano fell out the backside and had to be picked up with an axe and shovels. Now, the reason I'm telling you about this is because the other day I come down Garden Grove Boulevard, and I got off at the Golden West off-ramp there right onto Garden Grove Boulevard, and I noticed as I did that my truck went to the left a little bit. And as I looked over to the left, there was a piano in pieces on the sidewalk over there. That same piano? I doubt that. Could we see about picking up that piano and getting it out of there?
Yes.
Thanks. I don't think we have any other matters from the agency.
Okay. All right, I'll reconvene the council.
I'm glad.
Consent items.
Mr. Mayor, it's recommended that items 6A through 6H be acted on simultaneously unless a separate discussion or action is requested by a council member.
Move approval.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Public hearings.
Mr. Mayor, you have a public hearing tonight to consider a development agreement and a negative declaration in connection with the proposed expansion of the Embassy Suites Hotel. And Carl Hill is arriving to give you a staff report on this item. Moving too quickly.
Mayor, members of the City Council. It's on, sorry. The purpose of this item before you is to transmit a Planning Commission recommendation for approval of a development agreement for a proposed expansion to the existing Embassy Suites Hotel and conference and banquet facilities by adding a new 17-story, 238-room hotel tower to the existing 374-room hotel, along with 56,000 square feet of new banquet meeting rooms to the existing. The overall site is approximately 12.7 acres and includes the existing Embassy Suites site and the entire golf driving range to the west of the Embassy Hotel. The 238-room hotel tower, along with the 56,000 square feet of new banquet and meeting room space on the north side, will be placed on the north side of the existing facility. The proposal also includes creating a resort-type hotel by adding a new restaurant in place of the existing pool area, which is currently located on the hotel's south side, and a new resort pool within the outside, with an outside reception area on the west side of the hotel, along with a new 2-story administration building to handle the office and other activities that they're looking to expand for banquet reservations and the like. The site does have 2 points of access. One will be from Harbor Boulevard, and the second one is from the southerly part of the access from the site that actually extends out to Chapman Avenue. With the expansion, the access, the circulation, parking will not be disrupted for the existing hotels that are in the front of the Embassy Suites, as well as the Buca de Pepo restaurant. The reciprocity for parking access will remain in place, not be affected by this expansion. The hotel is proposing to modify its own entry to improve the drop-off and pickup for their hotel guests, and certainly that can be extended to the other hotels if parking need be. But with this proposal, the golf driving range will be removed and replaced with the parking lot, and the parking will provide more parking spaces than the entire site needs. The architectural style for the building will basically match the existing. It'll blend well, and it'll include both the tower and the banquet and reception rooms. And also the two-story building will have an architectural style similar to the Embassy Suites. The Planning Commission reviewed this matter at their January 17th, 2008 public hearing and recommended that the City Council approve the development agreement. And with that, the Commission recommends that the City Council introduce the attached ordinance regarding the development agreement for site plan number SP 435-07 and conditional use permit number 219-07. And the title is as follows: an ordinance of the City of Council of the City of Garden Grove adopting a development agreement between Landmark Hotel 2 LLC, the developer, and the City of Garden Grove. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay, if there are none, then I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this matter?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and staff. My name is Charles Mitchell, and as a member of the Chamber of Commerce, I've been fortunate enough to attend several events that they have held in the city at some of these hotels. And to tell you the truth, I enjoyed the event, but I've had a horrible time trying to find some place to park. Now, this new hotel is going to have banquet facilities, and I'm sure it's going to have a lot of open space for special events. I don't think the parking is going to be adequate when they hold these events, and I think it's imperative that any future projects include some type of a parking structure to accommodate all the cars and to accommodate the people that want to go there for special events. So I think it's something that needs to be looked at very carefully in all the redevelopment plans for these hotels. We're building them, they look great, they're filling up with people, but let's face it, if you're going to be running a hotel, you want to bring in as many people as possible, so you're going to hold special events. When you hold those special events, people cannot find a place to park. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lauterborn.
That other street was Maple. Thank you for being so considerate. I cannot emphasize the necessity for parking. You know, before when the old mayor was here, he heard me say about parking, and they kept telling me that the engineers looked at it and the parking was adequate. Well, here I am 7 years later saying the same thing, and we put up 4 more hotels, and we still haven't increased the parking. It's the same space, and now they're running off into my street. Maybe it would be a good idea to come over and just buy my entire track out and make that a parking lot. That might work, you know. Just come over there and buy that whole, and that way you wouldn't have to build this huge parking structure that costs, I think it's $6,000 per parking space is what the estimated cost for building a parking structure. So it would be, might save you some money by buying out the whole track. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Okay, Bob.
I put a card in. I don't know if you read it or not.
I didn't get, no, everyone I had.
You ignored me.
I would never ignore you, Bob.
Oh, good. You know, if we spent the money in Garden Grove, you know, the citizens would spend their money in Garden Grove, we wouldn't have a debt. You know, the Chamber of Commerce, half of them buy their cars out of Garden Grove. And, of course, you all don't buy your cars all in Garden Grove either. Okay? But I won't tell on you. I do. Huh? Now, when they were building these hotels, it was my understanding that once these hotels got going, that the money they brought in would take care of all the fees, the water fees, the trash fees, and all of, and it would increase the police department. We'd have more money coming in. I understand we've got $6 million now in surplus. We won't have to use, when we go into budget study, we won't have to use next year's money to balance the budget for this year. Where's all the money these hotels are making? How come we don't have a bigger surplus? And how come that when you come and you say, well, you know, we're hurting and we gotta raise your fees on this and we gotta raise your fees on that? You know, when we tried to follow the money from redevelopment to the hotels, you could never understand nothing. You know, that package could never understand anything. You never properly told anybody. But if these hotels are full, why don't we have more money in the bank? Why do you always come back and say, we ain't got no money to add no police? Because you ain't had no police since those hotels went. And if they're full, we should have a surplus. Okay? Because that money is the money that's supposed to incur debt. You know, that's how redevelopment works. Stay in debt. Stay in debt. See? That's the way it works. It's not supposed to work that way. We never had no money in redevelopment. See? And the council works in conflict because they are the redevelopment committee. These guys shouldn't be that. Should have citizens on there. Planning commission should be up for an election. Not a bunch of people the way you think to appoint them. Hey? The whole apparatus is wrong. You're playing everything. You're controlling the city. You're snuffing everybody down, but making the decision. You don't let people participate. You want to be the redevelopment committee, you know, because there's a lot of money, and you don't want to give it up. You think it's your money, and it ain't your money. See? And every city, okay, that's went haywire, and they ended up with a pinstripe suit. It's been a redevelopment. It's been redevelopment. I'm not saying you ain't honest now, okay? I never alleged that. But why does developers out of the Garden Grove donate in the Garden Grove? Not even citizens. And you guys stack up $100,000 to run for a campaign. That's ridiculous. You know, it ain't your money. It's taxpayers' money. It's redevelopment. It's taxpayers' money. And you owe the public an accountability, by God, of how you're spending that money to make sure they understand how that hotel's being paid for, how the increments are being paid for. If they don't understand, you take the time. You don't shove them down and shove them in the back seat and then talk about them and mimic them. It's redevelopment money. It's taxpayers' money. And you're responsible for it. And if I don't understand, it's your job to get me to understand. Don't give me that crap.
Thank you. Mr. Aquilino.
Thank you, and good evening, Councilman. I just wanted to just a few notes and comments on the future project and expansion of at the Embassy Suites here in Garden Grove. First off, I want to say that the Hilton Management Company, along with the developer Landmark Hotels, is very eager and anxious to get this project underway. We feel that there's strong demand remains in the market, and there's certainly a need for this expansion, along with the additional meeting space there. I wanted to address briefly, just Orange County, 2007, if you look at the numbers that was spent by tourism in Orange County, it came close to the tune, I think, of $8.4 billion for the year. That's a tremendous amount of money, and I think we're all working very, very hard for Garden Grove, the city of Garden Grove, to get its fair share of that. I also want to speak briefly on Landmark's relationship with the city and contributions to the city. I work for Landmark, the owner of the hotel, and since I've been in the city of Garden Grove, I've made sure that Landmark stayed engaged in the community in its work and contributions to the Garden Grove Community Foundation, Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Garden Grove Hospital and Medical Center. and we will continue to do so long into the future. As far as the parking, a lot of time and a lot of money has been spent on the analysis of required parking, and Hilton Hotels management, along with Landmark Hotels, feels confident not only that we meet code, but we far exceed code to meet any future demand that there might possibly be. That, along with the controlled parking aspects of gates and paid parking, we feel we'd really be able to resolve all the problems that we have. I also want to take note to the amount, and it's difficult to see on those renderings over there, but also the contributions to Harbor Boulevard, the sense of arrival, with the additions of the additional king palm trees that we have there, the water feature that we have out on Harbor Boulevard, which currently doesn't exist, all in efforts to truly beautify the landscape there along Harbor and make it even nicer than it is now. Other than that, again, I just want to reiterate, both Hilton Hotel Corporation and the ownership Landmark Hotels is very eager to move forward with this. We think it'll be a great contribution, not only to the aesthetics, quality of life for people that live and work around these hotels, but also economically for the city. So we're very, very eager. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, when this is complete, how many rooms are you going to have?
We're going to have 612 suites.
And where does that rank you in terms of Embassy Suites in the United States, in terms of number of rooms and in terms of meeting space?
Well, I can't speak for meeting space, but I can speak for numbers of rooms. As far as number of rooms go, we will be the largest Embassy Suites globally, certainly within the United States. Meeting space will be certainly one of the largest. I don't have a measurement on that, though.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your time frame for completion on this?
Right now, because of the logistics, I think we're looking, it turns out to be a 3-year project because we're open for business while the construction is going on. It kind of stretches it out a little bit. So start to finish, I think we wind up somewhere at the end of 2010, so I think October 2010.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, the public hearing's been closed. Gentleman and lady.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Broadwater.
The parking, let's address that. Oh, first of all, I want to, before these guys get away, I want to recognize Scout Troop 225, which is sitting out here. There are about 9 boys here. Nice to have you with us tonight. Just don't want you to get away without saying that. So, tell us about the parking.
On this project or
Yes.
just in general?
On this project.
On this project, because of the size of the landfill, as Mr. Alcalino alluded to, they're actually exceeding code on this one. So fortunately, because of the availability of land, we are providing, I'm thinking 30-35% more parking than.
Where are we getting this land from? That's really what I want you to get at.
It's the landfill. We're closing the driving range.
That's good.
And converting the driving range to all surface parking. And because of the size of the property, at least at this stage, it's roughly 30-35% over the required parking for the
How many new parking places would it give us?
Total of 1401 per the staff report.
For the
And it
entire
says
project.
For the
Yeah,
entire
yes.
site, right, and then which exceeds code by 219 spaces.
And if I may elaborate on that for you, the 1,400 spaces takes in the entire site, which includes the Hilton Gardens and the Hampton Inn, as well as the Buca de Beppo restaurant. The parking as planned towards the back, they'll have assigned employee parking, so that'll be structured where the employees are to park. They're going to run a valet service primarily for the Embassy Suites, which will control where the parking, where the cars actually go. The current reciprocal agreement with the other hotels has a provision that if the parking area gets something like 80-85% full, then the Embassy is to step in and assist in directing where the cars are to park and so forth. And then again, with our own studies and evaluation of this project, as we requested that the developer provide for us, found that the count tabulated over 200 extra spaces, if you will, for this overall development. And again, the two hotels that are there in the front are in agreement with this. I think the circulation, everything's been well thought out, and seriously was serious consideration was given to the parking situation. So with that, we feel that there's ample, and especially the way they're going to approach dealing with the parking.
Any other questions? Ms. Rosen.
Yeah, just a comment. I think this is a wonderful project. As Mr. Aquilino said, this will be the largest Embassy Suites globally. I think it will be up there probably in the top 5 in meeting space. And between this and the Hyatt, just next to it, this really gives Garden Grove a convention capacity where people do not have to depend on Anaheim to hold conventions in this area, and that's good for every business in the city. It's good for the restaurants. This project will bring some more restaurants. The Sheraton that's about to open or about to be completed will bring more restaurants. And so this really helps solidify what we're doing on Harbor Boulevard. I wanted to respond to just a few of the comments that Mr. Owens made. I'm sorry that he left right after he spoke, and I'm sorry that I'm talking about what he said after he finished, but I couldn't talk about what he said before he said it because I wouldn't know what he said. He stated that he doesn't understand how we get money from redevelopment, and from my perspective, we get quarterly reports on the redevelopment income. At least once every 3 months we get redevelopment reports, we get budget reports that talk about redevelopment. We probably have people on staff who do nothing but make reports, because every time you get a law passed, like a redevelopment law and then an expansion law, the legislature sticks in a requirement that you have to file reports, and we file reports. They file reports with us. They file reports with Washington, D.C. They file reports in Sacramento. I mean, government would be a lot more streamlined if they didn't have all these duplicate reports. So there are reports. People who listen on a regular basis to the council meetings or who pick up all these reports can track how much money comes in from these hotels. It's out there. He also made the comment that he doesn't think redevelopment agency members, that the city council shouldn't be the redevelopment agency. Well, you don't want unelected people to be making decisions about redevelopment. You want people who are directly responsible to the people. We're all citizens of Garden Grove. We all live in Garden Grove. Every decision we make, the voters have an opportunity to do something about every election. If you have a bunch of appointed people serving as a redevelopment agency, they're not directly responsive to the voters. And I don't think you want that on decisions of that magnitude. I also don't think that you want to be voting for a city council and then having a separate election for a redevelopment agency, just because it's tough enough for the voters to figure out who to vote for city council. If you have people running for 10 positions or 15 positions, I think it'll be like water board. Nobody knows who's on the water boards around here, and you just kind of vote and you guess, because nobody campaigns, and I think that would be very difficult for the voters. I think it's good to have 5 people that the voters pay attention to, if they do pay attention to us, and know who to pick and who they like and who they don't like. I would have preferred to have district elections, so you actually are campaigning to a much smaller area and the voters really can know you better. But I think having unelected people making major decisions would be a very bad idea. Anyway, I support this project, and I'm going to vote for it.
I'd just like to make a couple of comments. For any of you that have lived in Garden Grove for any length of time, I don't know if you remember what was at Harper and Chapman before the hotels were there. There was blocks and blocks of apartments in Yucca and Sage, and believe me, they were very undesirable areas. They were crime-ridden, prostitution, drugs, all those things. I know, I worked that area when I was a police officer. You go there now, and it's beautiful. And, you know, the project we're talking about today, the Embassy Suites, I had mentioned, and I think I used the phrase one time before about it, we'll have the biggest, that'll give us bragging rights. But, you know, not just the bragging right issue. The point is this. Think about it. Embassy Suites is global. Do you think that they would double the size of their hotel in Garden Grove if it certainly wasn't feasible, if it certainly wasn't going to be profitable? I mean, they have very sophisticated people that look at projects too and make determinations on whether or not they're going to be able to fill the rooms. And I think they've made that decision. A couple of people talked about money coming from different places and donations and contributions and developers outside not really doing anything for the city. Well, I think if you talk, you could ask Mr. Aquilino for the Embassy Suites, but not just the hotels. Some of the other businesses, some of the other people support Boys and Girls Club in Garden Grove. They have fundraisers. They donate money. They do a lot of things. All those concerts are paid for by the foundation, the Garden Grove Community Foundation, which actually receives much of their money from other organizations. But it's things that help build the community. And I'll tell you what, if you go to those concerts in West Garden Grove, I mean, they're packed. Everybody enjoys them. Somebody has to pay for them. And you know what? The city really isn't paying for them. We're getting donations. It's being sponsored by the foundation. There's a lot of money that goes into the city to do good things. And unfortunately, sometimes I think we lose sight of that because we zero in on something and we forget how much people do help our community. You saw some young men earlier this evening receiving some awards because they did some great things for the Boys and Girls Club. They were recognized. I mean, and you look at those kids, even one of them said, a very bashful young man, but I'll bet you in 2 or 3 or 4 years he's going to be as outgoing as anybody on this council. You know, there are a lot of things that help our community in many ways, and there's a lot of money that comes into this community for the kids in the community, for the adults, for the seniors. So sometimes I think we lose sight of that, and maybe we should reflect every so often. I think this is going to be a great project. The Embassy Suites is a great brand. They're everywhere, and I think most people like it because if you stay there, they have a great buffet breakfast free, and it's outstanding. But I think it's a good project. I think it's going to be good for Garden Grove. It's going to benefit us not only financially, but these are things, too, that when people look for an area to stay in. Disneyland is in Anaheim. We're right on the border of Anaheim. I mean, when things flow over, and people now actually come to Garden Grove because they've been treated well, they like the aesthetics, they like the rooms, they like the benefits that they're receiving. And we have, I'm sure that he could tell us, we have tons of repeat customers. Embassy has their own following anyway, and it helps all of us. It really does. So I am definitely going to support this project. Mr. Broadwater.
Well, I'd like to say that I'm going to support it. I mean, it's been about 14 years ago since we really started going down Harbor Boulevard. We did have the one hotel, the Hyatt, which had been built previously. But since then, and one gentleman mentioned that the hotel was going to be the 5th hotel or 6th hotel. Actually, the next hotel is going to be the 10th hotel. And so, anyway, a lot of people have said that it's not going to do Garden Grove any good or anything like that. And it's just the opposite effect. We took in $12.5 million that went directly to the city fund. It didn't go to the agency. It didn't go anywhere else. $12.5 million, and we're not getting all the money. Some of that money is still shared money. But eventually, in the next few years, that $12.5 million will probably double. How many people, and the mayor just mentioned about how bad it was. I mean, basically, we were the downside, prostitution and drugs for the tourist industry in Orange County. That all got cleaned up with redevelopment, and it just happened naturally without hiring more police officers and getting more police programs going. The parking problem. Oh, I can remember saying it, looking at it and knowing how many parking places we're going to get and saying, well, there won't be a parking problem, and there is a parking problem. And we've now got 200 more places than we need in this parking area, and we're saying we're not going to have a parking problem. I hope we have a parking problem. I hope it just booms, that it ignites, that everybody comes to Garden Grove and spends their money here. That's, you know. But I just really think it's good, and I'm going to support the project. I think that Landmark sort of had a monopoly on this one. This one didn't go out for bid or anything. They already had a tie on it. I like the way they worked it. They did well on it. So I'm going to support it.
This has to be by reading. Yes, Mr. Rosen.
Well, I'll move.
The motion.
I'll move the development agreement.
And I will second it.
Okay.
We already read the ordinance.
Okay, call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
8A.
Mr. Mayor, 8A is just receipt of a letter of resignation from the Administrative Board of Appeals from Commissioner Joseph Sylvan.
I move we accept the resignation with regrets.
Second.
Yeah, and send a letter.
Okay.
Okay. Also, anyone that's interested in applying for that position, you can go on the website or contact the city clerk's office and fill out an application. Okay, ordinance is presented for second reading. I believe I'm going to have to recuse myself from these.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'll read 10A. It's ordinance number 2721. Ordinance of the City Council of City of Garden Grove adopting a negative declaration and approving a plan unit development number PUD 120-07, changing the zoning designation from plan unit development number PUD 103-78 to plan unit development number PUD 120-07.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll move we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion received, 4 yes votes with Mayor Dalton being absent.
All right, 10B.
10B is ordinance number 2722, an ordinance of the City Council of City of Garden Grove adopting a development agreement between Ronald Pierce and the City of Garden Grove.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
Move we approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion received, 4 yes votes with Mayor Dalton being absent.
Okay. A.
See, I thought there was going to be more discussion.
Okay, we're at matters.
11A, Mr. Mayor.
11A. I'd like to nominate Steve Jones for my alternate on the Orange County Sanitation District Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
11B is appointment to the commissioners to the commissioners to the Garden Grove Housing Authority. I'd like to nominate James O'Connor, who is currently on the board.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
And to fill the vacancy left by Mr. Ta, I'd like to nominate Cam Wynn.
I second the motion.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Jones. Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, Mr. Broadwater.
I'm going to be involved in graffiti paint out this Saturday at the yard with a bunch of people. I think they're doing a big one there too. So, anybody like to participate? Call down and see what all the arrangements they are at the yards. Oh, I'm not sure the time. It's either 7:30 or 8 o'clock. But show up by 8 o'clock. They'll take you.
Okay, Mr. Rosen.
Thank you. You know, when I first got on the council, I started saying happy birthday to my children as their birthdays approached. And then I stopped doing it when they turned 18. So I have one child left under the age of 18, and she had her 17th birthday on Saturday. So I want to say happy birthday, Jessica. Happy 17th. When I started out, she was just 7, so she's grown up quite a bit. But anyway, happy birthday, Jessica.
Ms. Wynn.
Yes, I'd like staff to see if they could look into 2 different programs that I've learned of when I met with other cities. One is one called the City Business Enhancement Committee, and that's in the city of Orange. So maybe you could contact them and see what type of services they have in that. And I think maybe our Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce might have a lot of that already, and we want to compare to see if we could add anything, or if this is actually something else that they do, and we could form a committee, see if the council would like to form a committee for that. And the other program that I learned of is the Soft Proof Services. And when I talked to Matt Fertel, he explained that we do have a service like that in the city to go over different proposals with the different developers. However, the Soft Proof service in the other cities has a fee, and I think it might entail a little bit more than just preliminary review of the plans. So if you could compare the plan we have with the other cities, particularly the ones that charges fees, and report back to the council regarding the fees and what does the fees encompass, and maybe that's a way for developers to feel like they've been treated fairly, and that they paid for a service and the service was complied with. And with that said, going back to some of the comments tonight during public hearing, I know a lot of people are concerned about how we got to choosing different developers, and I agree with Councilman Mark Rosen. We need a little more transparency in that direction. I like the way we did the reviews when we had the casino and the 25-acre water park, and maybe we could have that in the future. But if we have the public view that, and that also got me thinking, maybe a lot of times the public doesn't understand what the council does, and if we could have like maybe once or twice a year a study session for citizens who wants to know about what the council does as far as development, and maybe a 1 to 2 hour session once or twice a year. If you could review that and bring that back to the council at the next meeting or in 2 meetings.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Just happy birthday, Jessica.
Okay, happy birthday to my daughter Paula, and happy birthday to Jessica. And we'll adjourn the regular meeting until March 25th at 6:30 p.m. This is our town, our city. Garden Grove is our place in the sun. The ties that keep us together, that connect us, are what make a community. Residents took their destiny in their own hands when they crafted a community vision in 2004. And they charged the City Council with making it a reality. A strategic plan was put into place. The city is now in its 2nd year of implementation, and we have a lot to tell you about. You know, this may be hard to believe, but when I retired as a police lieutenant in 1998,